Feels like the transfer window. Dharmesh Sheth and Kaveh Solakol are with me around the desk to give us their respective views, no doubt hopefully disagreeing. What do you make of how it's happened and when it's happened, Dharmesh?
I've been reading through Manchester United's statement a number of times since they released it around 10:30 this morning, and it's very clear that they're backing up effectively what we were saying yesterday, that they wanted to be very respectful to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer if they were going to make such a decision, because they haven't said he's been sacked. I know clubs don't usually do that, but
they never do.
It's just he's left the club, and they really genuinely thanking him for everything that he's done. Yes, the past few months have been tough, but they want to look at the body of work that he's achieved at Manchester United in the past 3 years. Because make no mistake about it, when you read that statement, Manchester United did not want to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Because if you think about what a big club would do, like Manchester United, like a Real Madrid, like a Barcelona, if they'd had two results like they did, at home to Liverpool, 5-0 defeat, at home to Manchester City, 2-0, two of your biggest rivals, if you're going to sack a manager, it would have been then. But because they didn't at that stage, you just then got the impression he's going to stay for the rest of the season, and then they're going to re-look at everything then. But then I think the tipping point was yesterday, because it's one thing losing to the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Manchester City, but then to go to Watford and lose by 4-1. You can talk about the players as well. The players, yes, they will have had doubts and reservations about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's methods, but in the main, they liked him and they wanted him to succeed. I was at the game between Watford and Manchester United yesterday. On the way home, I was speaking to a couple of Manchester United season ticket holders, and one of them said to me, "We want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to stay." And I was taken aback. I said, "Well, after that?" And he goes, "But we know he can't. But what we want as United fans, the ideal scenario would have been a legend like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer managing the club and bringing success to Manchester United."
But the club must have had a plan, mustn't they, in advance of the Watford game? They must have. Somebody must have said.
You say that, but if you look at
what if we lose at Watford?
But you look at the last line of that.
We're going to look for an interim manager.
We're going to have Michael Carrick in, who is part of the coaching staff that's got Manchester United into trouble as it stands, and then we're going to have an interim manager that will come in until the end of the season. So Manchester United weren't thinking about replacing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. This result was the tipping point. And if you look further ahead...
So you're saying they didn't consider the possibility that they'd lose to Watford?
If they're looking at bringing in a new manager in the summer, do you then ask the question, have they got somebody in mind? And is that somebody not willing to come mid-season, number one? And number two, are they going to be available come the summer? And will it be easier for them to recruit a manager that they want at that time rather than in November?
Go on, Kaveh.
My information is that the manager that Manchester United want is not available at the moment, and their number one choice to be their next manager is Mauricio Pochettino, who is obviously at PSG at the moment and is unavailable. Now, in the statement, they make it clear that they're looking for an interim manager until the end of the season. I think that points towards the fact, obviously, that the man they want at the moment is not available. And my information is that man is Mauricio Pochettino. I've also been told that their number two target after Mauricio Pochettino is Erik Ten Hag, the Ajax manager. Again, somebody who is not available at the moment. So that is why I think they're looking for an interim manager. Now, when it comes to an interim manager, there are lots of names out there. It has to be somebody who is available at the moment, somebody who would take the job on a short-term basis just until the end of the season. Obviously, there are names in the frame like Laurent Blanc. There's lots of former Manchester United players who, again, are available, who I'm sure would be interested in doing the job. I'm not going to name lots of names, but just focusing on Mauricio Pochettino, he is somebody who's been a long-term target of Manchester United. 3 or 4 years, they've identified him as somebody they would like to be their manager. And also Erik Ten Hag, a very, very good manager, somebody who's worked under Pep Guardiola at Bayern Munich. He has the same kind of intensity and focus that Pep Guardiola has. I think he would be a fantastic appointment as well. But those are two names to look out for. Unfortunately for Manchester United supporters, both those targets are not available at the moment. But I think United will go in for them in the summer.
What about his overall body of work? which Darmish was paying tribute to. Can one look at his time in charge as a success in any measure?
Look, I think he had a very difficult job when he came in. There were lots of problems within the club when Jose Mourinho was the manager towards the end of his time. It was a very unhappy place. He came in, he lifted the mood of the club. Yes, there have been some good results. I'm thinking, for instance, I saw Man United win at Stamford Bridge. I remember them beating Manchester City as well. There were some good performances. But overall, I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was qualified to do this job. I think it was just a job that was too big for him. When you look at a club the size of Manchester United, arguably the biggest club in the world, you have to ask yourself, why have they not had one of the elite managers of this generation? I'm thinking Pep Guardiola, I'm thinking Jurgen Klopp, I'm thinking Thomas Tuchel. None of these managers have been tempted to go to Old Trafford. You've got to ask yourself why.
And people have been saying, Darmish, for almost throughout the 3 years he's been in charge, barring odd periods of 6 weeks where it's been going well, they've been saying he's not quite qualified. He isn't quite at that elite level. He's never going to get there.
What I would say, I take Carve's point there, but what I would say, I know Gary Neville was an old teammate of his, and he's backed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the past few months as well, as have a lot of the former Manchester United teammates of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But what they also do say is that he's helped reset the culture of the club, and he's helped rebuild the squad. So every successor to Sir Alex Ferguson, since Sir Alex Ferguson retired in 2013, you could argue that whoever comes in now on a permanent basis will be in the best position with regard to who's in that squad compared to every other predecessor to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So you could argue that he's leaving them in a better place than when he joined. Now, Carve could say that, look, he wasn't qualified for the job. But at the time, there are a lot of people who were saying, look, he's done so well, he deserves that chance. And there are certain things, you say some of those results, the first back-to-back top three finishes since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. And I know Manchester United will look at, well, that's not what Manchester United are about. They should be challenging for the title. I accept that. They've had 4 semi-finals and a final, which can be looked at in a negative way as well because they weren't successful in those. But then you've got the away record, an English record, 29 unbeaten games away from home. You've had 10 times where they've scored 5 or more goals in a match, and it's happened twice in the 302 previous games since Sir Alex Ferguson.
But this is Manchester United. That's all pretty decoration on the Christmas tree. It's not filling the trophy cabinet, is it?
And we know that some of the stuff that he's done might stand Manchester United in good stead culturally in the future.
Rebuilding the soul, Gary Neville said.
And he's rebuilding the soul and rebuilding the squad. But we do know that managers are judged by results, and he's spent over £400 million in the short time that he's been there. The likes of Harry Maguire, Jadon Sancho, Rafael Varane, Cristiano Ronaldo's come back, Bruno Fernandes as well. But the results, particularly in the last 2 months, have done for him. He had 13 points from their first 5 games in the Premier League this season. He's had 4 points from the last 21 possible.
All right, go on.
You can see why he hasn't been given the chance to continue.
Darmish has come armed with lots of statistics, as always, but I just want to say one thing. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been Manchester United manager for almost 3 years. In that 3 years, they have lost 40 games, 4-0, in under 3 years. They've lost to Manchester City 4 times. They've lost to Liverpool 3 times. They've lost to Arsenal 3 times. They've lost to Leicester 3 times. They've lost to Crystal Palace twice. West Ham twice. Watford twice. Wolves twice. They've lost to Cardiff City, Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Istanbul Başakşehir, Astana, Young Boys. I've got the full list of 40 games.
I get the point.
You've just done it.
We are talking about Manchester United. It's just unacceptable for a manager of Manchester United to lose that many games.
He's also had some big results
3 years
as well. And
I mentioned them. I mentioned
he's also
the big
got the
results.
third biggest win ratio of a Manchester United manager since the war.
Yeah,
now,
that's not saying that much, given that Sir Matt Busby and Sir Alex Ferguson occupied most of that time. And since then, we all know it's been a problem.
I totally understand that, and I accept what Carve is saying. What I'm saying here is, I'm not defending Ole Gunnar Solskjaer here. I'm telling you that in the last 3 years, yes, in the last few months, it's gone terribly wrong. Everyone can see it's gone terribly wrong. You can just look, it's 4 points from a possible 21. Of course it's gone
But
wrong.
you're talking about recruitment successes. How much of that is down to Solskjaer, and how much, if the recruitment has been good, and that's debatable because there are people who say Aaron Wan-Bissaka can't be a £50 million fullback. I'm just quoting other people. I'm not saying it me. I'm not saying that. There's plenty of other big money recruits who haven't been the same success as the people you're talking about. But if it has gone well, how much of that is down to Solskjaer? How much of that is down to other people at the club?
Well, the buck is always going to stop with the manager. He knows that because the results haven't gone
on recruitment,
as they would have. But the thing with the recruitment, you've also got to understand that I think this is why United made the decision when they did, simply because they had decided, look, they got a second place finish last season, and the expectation was they would build on that second place finish because of the recruitment they'd had in the summer. Now, if someone had said to you, Cristiano Ronaldo is coming to Manchester United, Jadon Sancho, who they've been chasing for the best part of a year and a half, is coming to Manchester United. Raphael Varane will be joining Manchester United. On paper, you'd be saying, Manchester United could possibly challenge here.
Yeah.
But they've always maintained as well that United are on a plan whereby they couldn't make all of the signings that they wanted to, particularly in the central midfield area, because that is an area that they have said is a priority. And they said they couldn't do every single bit of recruitment that they wanted to do in one window. It is a building process. But results have gone so far the other way that even though they wanted to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer time, they've decided that it's simply impossible.
Go on, quick one, then we must move on.
Let's not forget, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was given a new long-term contract in the summer.
Yeah.
And I think Manchester United made a big mistake not sacking him when they lost to Liverpool 5-0. If they'd sacked him after that game, they would have had the international break to appoint a new manager. Other managers were available at that stage as well, people like Antonio Conte. I just found it difficult to believe that a Manchester United manager could keep his job after losing 5-0 at home to Liverpool.
When the managers of Norwich and Villa and Newcastle didn't keep their job. Gentlemen, clearly much more discussion points that we can cover. So these two will be back later on in the afternoon.